Thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Strye with Diamond Kote Building Products, and today we're going to show you the new vertical siding from LP SmartSide. We're going to discuss the differences between the 7/16 and 3/8 panel thicknesses, along with the batten trim thicknesses. Most importantly, you'll learn how to simplify your board and batten installations. We'll show you how to do that utilizing our protective trim system that helps reduce touch-up paint and also incorporates our other Diamond Kote accessories. Let's start by taking a look at the differences between the options. So starting with our 7/16 option, which uses the 7/16 thick panel, as well as the 4/4 batten strip trim. The 7/16 panel is available in 4 foot by 8 foot, 9 foot, and 10 foot lengths. We start by applying our 5/4 trims first. So we have our nail fin outside corner and we have our 5/4 trims. Next, the 7/16 panel would go on top of the 5/4 trim nail fin, and then lastly, our 4/4 batten strip goes on top of that. The problem with this type of application is that the 4/4 batten strip ends up being proud of the 5/4 trim, something that detracts from the look and we want to stay away from. Let's show you how to do that next. So to eliminate our 4/4 batten strip issue where it's proud of the 5/4 trim, we're going to show you how to do the 7/16 install where we don't have that issue. It begins with our 7/16 panel on top of the wall first, then we put our 5/4 nail fin corners and 5/4 trim on next. You can see we removed our nail fins from our 5/4 trim and added the face nail there. Again, that's where the increase in labor comes into play with this option. So let's show you how the rest of the installation works. So it begins with making sure that we detail our flashings above our windows properly. So we gap off our flashings 3/8 of an inch. We begin with a 7/16 piece of the panel siding and cut that to the same size as what our 5/4 window trim is going to be. Next, we install our 5/4 trim above the window header. Then we utilize the flashing above that trim, making sure that we detail that to the weather-resistant barrier. You may have to bend this flashing on site because there's not a lot of options for the 1.5" trims that you're going to encounter with the panel and trim thickness. It continues with installing the panel. You can see again the labor increases by having to notch the panel to incorporate the header of the window trim. We install the panel, again leaving our proper 3/8 gap above our flashings. And then we put on our 5/4 trims. We continue with the rest of the trim around the window, now with the trim being installed on top of the panel. And then again, the rest of our 5/4 trims, whether this be a band board or any other type of 5/4 trim on the project. Lastly, we round up with our 4/4 batten strips. And you can see now the 4/4 batten strips are set below the face of the 5/4 trim, again eliminating that issue, only with the added time and labor involved into touch-up painting face nails, as well as the detailed cuts. Now let's compare our samples with the new option versus the 7/16 option and show you why the 3/8 option is our better way to go. So comparing the samples, we have our 7/16 panel on this side. We have our new vertical 3/8 thick panel on this side. We also have our 4/4 batten strip trim, which we've seen, and now our new 19/32 2.5 inch wide batten strip. Obviously the panels are different thicknesses, but again, the batten strips are also different thicknesses. So to show what that looks like as we assemble them, again, the 4/4 batten strip butted to the 5/4 trim leaves us the batten strip proud of the trim, which we were trying to get away from. With our new vertical siding and 19/32 batten strip trim butted to the 5/4 trim, now we have the batten strip below the face. So showing our new 3/8 thick vertical siding, which is 16 inches wide by 16 feet long, with our 19/32 thick by 2.5 inch wide batten trim, which we just saw. This new option is also going to be available in a 3/8 thick 4 foot by 8 foot, 9 foot, and 10 foot panel as well. So this system installs utilizing our protective trim system first. So we have our nail fin outside corners as well as our nail fin 5/4 trim. Our 3/8 thick panel is going to install over top of those nail fins, and then lastly our 19/32 batten strips installs on top of those. You can see leaving them below the face of the 5/4 trim, the look that we're trying to achieve. This also utilizes with this system the use of our 1-inch pre-bent drip cap that's color matched. So now let's see how easy these products are to install firsthand. Installing the LP SmartSide vertical siding, the requirements are we start with a non-compressible drainable house wrap. We want to ensure that our windows and doors are properly flashed into our weather-resistant barrier with our drip caps and our house wrap tapes. We've also started this project with our nail fin lineal trim. So we have our clip and fin trim system, which eliminates any of the face nails. We've also utilized our one-piece outside corners, again with nail fin, for no touch-up painting on the face of that trim. Now we're going to finish the siding. I'm going to show you a new way of installing the nail fin trim around our window. When we install our nail fin trim, what we've done is we've taken our pieces, we've pre-cut them, and we've joined them together with pocket screw joinery. This gives us a nice tight joint and allows for the trim to go up in one piece like a picture frame. So we begin that installation by putting shims 3/8 of an inch thick above our window to make sure that we keep our trim up off of our flashing 3/8 of an inch as required. So we've oversized our trim slightly to leave a gap between the window and the trim, which allows for our windows to expand and contract. We then begin by fastening through the nail fin, filling every third hole. This gap will later be filled with color match sealant. So we have to install a piece of 1-inch drip cap above our 5/4 by 4 trim around our window. We start by notching that so we can bend the end down to better shed water. So we've got our long 16-foot, 3/8 thick vertical panels from LP SmartSide. We're getting ready to install that. And you can see the advantages in this long new panel is that we can span these taller stretches without having to put a band board in. We've shown a band board in this application because, again, that panel will also come in 3/8, 4x8, 9s, and 10s. So if we want to put a band board, we can. If we choose not to, we do have the option to go with a vertical panel. We can install that on single stories through the gable ends, but we cannot span multi-stories. We have to break that at the floor line. So that's why we're also showing a band board. So when you are in a 2-story application, we can do a band board and split it that way. Next, we're going to be installing this. We want to make sure we leave a 3/16 gap between the panels, and then we're going to start our nailing process. We're going to nail every 6 inches on center. When we're installing the vertical siding, we want to make sure that we leave a 3/8 of an inch gap where the siding comes off the flashings. We're utilizing a scrap piece of the siding in order to get that gap. Then we continue our nailing. We want to make sure that when we cut our vertical siding that we paint every single one of our cut edges, just like any of the other LP SmartSide products. And again, leave our 3/8 of an inch gap above our flashings. You want to apply the sealant to the vertical siding before you put the batten strips on. Now we're going to show you a couple tips on how to apply the sealant between the trim and the window and filling the gap that we left to allow the window to expand, the gap that we had talked about earlier when we installed the nail fin trim. Next, using a razor blade, we're going to cut alongside the trim. And then along the window, or in the accessory groove in the case of a vinyl window. The next step in the process, now that we have the window masked with our gap being left cut out, we're going to apply the bead of sealant to that gap and fill it completely full. Now that we have the sealant applied, we're going to tool it slightly just to give it a smooth finish. We've left our 3/8 gap off of our flashing, which we've left uncaulked to allow moisture that would get behind the siding that would be trapped to give it a place to drain out. Lastly, we just remove our masking tape and we're left with a nice looking bead of sealant. The last step is to install the 19/32 by 2.5 inch batten strips. We want to make sure that we paint all of our cut edges before we install the strips. So the proper nailing pattern on the 19/32 batten strips is 2 nails on the bottom, and then we're going to alternate edges every 12 inches on center as we go up the trim, and then again 2 nails on the top of the trim. We want to finish our face nails on our batten strips and the exposed fasteners on our panel with the touch-up paint. Now that we've finished up the siding project, I just want to point out a few of the key details from some of the problems that we solved with our earlier issues. So you can see how we've incorporated the vertical LP SmartSide 16-inch by 16-foot vertical siding with all of our nail fin accessories. So we've got our nice tight trim joints on our window trims. We have everything properly flashed and properly caulked. We've utilized our pre-bent, pre-colored 1-inch strip cap, making it fast and easy because it's ready to go when it gets to the job site. Most importantly, our batten strips are below the face of our 5/4 trim, both above the window as well as below the window. Continuing on, we can see our batten strips, whether we're using the tall vertical panels or the 4x8, 9s, and 10-foot panels, those batten strips sit below the 5/4 band boards. The band board also ties nicely into our one-piece outside corner post with nail fin. So again, everything flushes out, we have a nice system. You now should have a better understanding of how the new 3/8 panels and vertical siding from LP SmartSide and Diamond Kote Building Products can easily give your home a great board and batten look. For even more information and detailed drawings, check out our written application guide. Also, connect with us online if you have further questions or to view our product and color visualizer. Thank you for watching.